Can OFWs apply for a housing loan? What are the steps in buying a house through bank financing? And how can I know if I will be approved? All of these questions and more will be answered in today's vlog. Hey investors! Today we're going to break down step by step how to buy a house via bank financing here in the Philippines. So if you don't have enough cash to buy a property, or if you want to preserve your cash and then you just loan the rest of the amount, then bank financing is actually a very good option for you. So bank financing is one of the most common ways of acquiring a property here in the Philippines. Of course, one of the obvious advantages is that you only need to pay a down payment to the seller or the developer, and then the balance can be shouldered by the bank. And of course, you'll be the one to pay a monthly amortization to the bank. So it's not so heavy for the buyers. So the steps are slightly different when you're buying a house via a developer through bank financing, or if you're buying from the seller himself. Today, we're going to tackle what we call as resales or secondary market. And we're going to talk about how to buy a house via bank financing for resales. Here's a step-by-step guide on how to buy a house via bank financing for resale properties. Step 1. Find a property that you want to buy. Of course, that sounds very obvious, guys, but the first thing that you need to do is, of course, find a property that you would like to purchase via bank financing. So once you've already found a property that you really like, the first thing that you need to check is if the property has a clean title. So what does that mean? So a clean title means that the property does not have any mortgage annotations, or it currently does not have any loan in any other bank. So it's very important for the title to be clean, because the banks will not accept a property that already has an existing mortgage. So how do you check if the title is clean? If the title has an annotation or a mortgage written at the back. So at least you get to know if the title is clean. Step 2. Choose your bank. So of course, after you've already found the property that you like, the next thing that you need to do is to choose the bank that you're going to loan the property with. So some of my clients usually choose a bank that they already have a relationship with, or they already have accounts with. So as a broker, I also recommend to my clients to choose a bank that has an easy loan process, and a bank that also has a reputation for a high appraisal value. So most of these banks are usually the bigger ones, like for example, BDO or BPI. And at the same time, one of the things that I really encourage our clients to go through is to choose a bank whose appraiser is just based here in the city that you're living in. So for example, here in Cagayan de Oro City, BTO and BPI have their appraisers just here in Cagayan de Oro, because there are other banks whose appraisers are based in Manila or in Cebu, and they have to fly in those appraisers back. So it takes time for the whole appraisal process to finish, because they need to fly in the appraiser. So instead of having the usual appraisal time at 7 days, it now becomes like 30 days or 15 days, because they need to wait for the schedule of the appraiser. So normally, I would advise for clients to choose banks who they are familiar with, banks that have a reputation for a high appraisal value, banks who have appraisers who are here in the city, and banks who have an easy housing loan process. Step 3. Submit your requirements. So now that you've already chosen your bank, the next thing that you need to do is, of course, to submit all of your requirements to the bank. So the requirements does depend on your status of employment. So for everybody, the most common thing is that the banks will just want to establish that you have a source of funds or a source of income for you to be able to pay your monthly amortizations moving forward. So of course, for the locally employed, some of the requirements would be your certificate of employment, your ITR, your pay slips. The bank might also ask you to give your bank statements. And for those who are commission-based, so don't worry guys, but you can also apply for a bank loan as well. So for those who are commission-based, you can give your commission pay slips or just any proof that you have received your commissions from your employer or from your company. And of course, we also have other income documents such as, again, the bank statements of your payroll account or things like that. And of course, OFWs, pwedeng-pwede, you guys can definitely apply for a housing loan here in the Philippines. So some of the requirements that you will need is, of course, your latest contract, your proof of bank remittances, for seafarers, your details of crewing manager, and of course, OFWs will need to have an attorney, in fact, here in the Philippines. So an attorney, in fact, is someone who can sign the loan documents on your behalf. And of course, for our self-employed, so definitely you'll need to have your valid DTI registration, mayor's permit, your ITR and audited financial statements, working account, trade references with complete contact details, your major clients, authorization letter to conduct trade verification. And for those who are in a partnership or corporation, so that's also, there's going to be other requirements for that as well. And for foreigners who are living here in the Philippines, so you can apply for a housing loan here in the Philippines as long as you have a Filipino spouse. So your Filipino spouse will be the primary borrower, but your gross income can definitely be combined together with your spouse. So you don't have to worry about that as well. So other income requirements could be if you have rental properties, then you can also present that as an income requirement as well. And if you're a practicing professional, so you can have some information that you can give to the banks too. And of course, aside from your income requirements, you will also need to submit the collateral documents. So the collateral documents is the information about the property itself. So collateral documents will include a copy of the title, a copy of the tax declaration, if needed, perhaps a sketch plan, or depending on the property, what type of requirements that the banks will ask. But these are definitely needed for the property to be appraised by the bank. So once you've submitted your requirements, you can now proceed to step 4. Step 4, wait for approval. So after the house has been appraised and of course you've submitted all of your requirements, now is the time for you to wait for approval from the bank. So the bank will now let you know how much they can give you as a loanable amount. So usually the banks will give you 80% of the appraised value. So by the way, the appraised value usually differs from the selling price of the owner. So usually the owner's selling price is higher than the appraised value. So for example, if the owner is selling the house for 6 million pesos and the appraisal value is only 5 million pesos, usually the banks will be able to give you 80% of that 5 million. So 80% of 5 million is of course 4 million pesos. So between 4 million and 6 million, you still have a remaining amount of 2 million pesos. So this one now becomes your down payment to the seller. So now guys, this is actually very important for you to realize that whenever you're loaning a property from a bank, usually it's not going to be 100%. So of course, there will be cases when that does happen, but most of the time, it's really 80% that they can give to you. And right now, we also have new promos from the banks, which they can give 90%. But for resale properties, it would be safe to assume that maybe you can get approved 80% of the appraised value. So again, if the property is selling for 6 million pesos, you can have the appraisal, for example, at 5 million. So 80% of that is 4 million pesos. So you get to give a 2 million peso down payment to the seller. So by this time, you already have an idea how much your down payment will be to the seller, and then you can start executing the loan documents and also, of course, the contract to sell. Step 5, sign the contract. So congratulations, we're almost at the end of our process. So step 5 is where you will now sign the contracts with the seller. So there are actually 2 types of contracts that you will be executing. First is the contract to sell, where you will be putting in the information about how much the down payment will be, how much the loan balance will be, and of course you will also be giving the letter of guarantee that you received from the bank to the seller so that they can hold on to that and wait for the loan release. Of course, another document that you need to execute is the deed of absolute sale. So this part is a little bit sensitive to some of the buyers and sellers out there because they're wondering, why do I need to execute a deed of absolute sale when we haven't really fully paid the property yet? So here in the Philippines, in order for the bank to release the proceeds, the title needs to be in the name of the buyer. So this is why we really need to give a letter of guarantee to the seller, and the seller also has to trust that the document, this letter of guarantee, will be his guarantee, of course, that they will be getting the remaining balance or the loan proceeds directly deposited to their account from the bank. Step 6, transfer of title. So yes, you will definitely need to transfer the title to the buyer's name before the loan proceeds will be released. So now that you already have your deed of sale, you can actually ask somebody to do the process for you, to transfer the title for you. So in terms of title transferring, it does depend on the city where you're living as to how long it will take, but you'll go through the steps of having to go to the BIR, and then to the City Hall, and then to the Registry of Deeds, and finally, the title will be released. So if you want to have more information about the whole title transfer process, I can do another vlog on that. But for now, that's step 6, title transfer. Step 7, loan release. So congratulations, you're actually already at the last step. So loan release, and that is the time, of course, when the proceeds will already be given by the bank to the seller. So once the title is already transferred to your name as a buyer, the loan will now be released by the bank and given directly to the seller's account. So congratulations to you and to the seller. You've now consummated the whole deal. So I hope you guys learned something from this video, and if you do have any questions about bank financing or any other questions related to real estate, please feel free to let me know and I can answer you guys in the comment section below, or I can also maybe make a vlog about your questions as well. So please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and of course follow us on our channels in TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and of course here in YouTube. See you guys in the next video. Bye!